Hello. Oh, hello. Thank you so much. How's everyone doing tonight? How are we feeling? We ready? Oh, this is going to be so great. All right, welcome to the second day of the second annual CryptoJazz Festival. This festival is presented by Resonance Records and MetaJAX. I had the immense privilege and pleasure of performing at this festival last year and yesterday evening with Roderick Hellaway and Eddie Daniels, which will be here again tonight. And we are incredibly excited for this, there I am, for this weekend, which is going to be jam-packed with absolutely phenomenal music. And now I'd like to welcome my festival co-host, and you already heard his story in the previous video, Terrence Love.
How you guys doing tonight? I'm really excited to be here, and for those of you who were here last night, of course, Eddie and Roger and the group were fantastic. Tawana got up and did a few, and it brought down the house. So we're really excited about what's going on. And for those of you who don't know me, I, built and ran Steamers Jazz Club for 23 years. Yeah, and so I've been around for 3 decades, and I've seen all sorts of things happen. But I'm still a little bit confused about this crypto, NFT stuff, and I know how to lose money in jazz. I just haven't learned how to make money yet. But I know Tawana's up on this. You want to tell me a little bit about what's going on in this stuff?
I'd love to. Yes, it'd be my pleasure. So, essentially, tonight's performance will be filmed and recorded, and from there, these very same performances that you are about to see now will become unique vignettes that will live forever in the digital realm, and those will be called NFTs. And that's how that works. Okay. Very simple.
There you go. Well, listen, we want. I know you guys are here for the music, and I do want to let you know that tonight we have Gordon Goodwin's Big Phat Band. Definitely the hottest big band around right now, and joining them will be Vaughan on vocals. Vanjie. And she will look spectacular too. And of course, the great Eddie Daniels is going to be joining them, sitting in. And we're going to run a little intro video showing you about them, but I want to tell you, upcoming here on the stage tomorrow night, the New York Voices will be here. And then Sunday in the afternoon, the great Tony Guerrero will be here doing a show, Abrazzo, featuring Tawanda also. So Sunday at 2 o'clock, you can go to the box office to get tickets or go to thebarclay.org, or you can even go to campusjax.com, pick them up. Let's run the video. Thank you. Enjoy the show, folks.
I was called by Alan Grant, a DJ on WABC FM. He asked me if I would be willing to record a new band put together of all-star jazz musicians under Thad Jones and Mel Lewis. They were going to play the first time on February 7th, 1966 at the Vanguard in New York. And I only had 6 microphones, a 2-track recorder, earphones, and some mic stands. Basically, that's all I had. Everything had to be done in the moment correctly. no sound check. They just set up and started playing. I was absolutely amazed. It was so special. It was as if I was hearing something new. It was brilliant. It was exciting.
Do you feel that Thad and Mel's group changed the way that big band performed and how composers wrote for large ensembles?
I don't think there's any doubt about it. I think as far as playing through the music, everybody found a special place for all of those pieces of music, and Thad was still writing, still bringing in other stuff. And boy, when you think about those things, we all felt very privileged about it. I wasn't at all disappointed about anything, just happy to be there.
Well, the personnel was great. I mean, the first note we hit was amazing right there, and Thad was amazed too. He'd never had his own band before like that, ever, and it was coming together really amazing. And the first rehearsal started at midnight.
The audience was so respectful and just were awed by what they were hearing. We were awed by what we were doing. Everybody, including musicians, were awed every night. The music was so fulfilling, spiritually fulfilling.
Resonance Records is proud to announce the release of Thad Jones Mel Lewis Orchestra. This first official release of these recordings captured the Thad Jones Mel Lewis Orchestra in their opening night performance at the legendary Village Vanguard in New York City on February.
Ray Charles, Natalie Cole, Sarah Vaughan, Mel Torme, Christina Aguilera, and David Foster are just a few of the artists with whom Grammy and Emmy Award-winning arranger and bandleader Gordon Goodwin has worked. Quincy Jones calls Gordon Goodwin's Big Phat Band a bevy of superb soloists and exhilaration of sound. Johnny Mathis says, Gordon's towering talents reflect a man of exquisite musical taste. This stage is about to explode with some of the best musicians in Los Angeles. Please welcome Gordon Goodwin and his Big Phat Band.
It's July the 8th, 2022. I stopped playing the damn clarinet 20 years ago. And that was a wise decision because I found out that a lot of people do it way better than me, including our special guest tonight. So, if you will allow me to introduce to you the slightly handsome but supremely talented members of the Big Phat Band. Thanks, everybody. Thank you so much. Hello and welcome, friends. Thank you very much for coming to this fine event. It means so much that you're coming out and supporting live music. And you have another great night tomorrow night, in case you're aware, the New York Voices are coming. Fantastic group, and hope you'll come back and show your support. Because you might hear fantastic sounds like the one we just heard. It's a tribute we did to a band. You may have heard of them. The name is something. Wayne, what's it? Tower? The Tower of Terror band, something like that. Is that right? That doesn't seem right. Of course. We just played with those guys at the Hollywood Bowl a week ago. The Tower of Power. Epic. Legendary. And that's our tribute to them. Of course, you can't get as funky as them ever, but you might get maybe close to it, which is why that song's called T.O.P. Adjacent. And it features the alto sax stylings of Eric Marienthal. So I had this cat, not even being a cat person. Actually, it was my daughter's cat more than my cat, but it was in the studio a lot, and then we got to hang. And this cat kind of won me over, but she hated being indoors. She wanted to be outdoors, specifically in our garage. Which didn't make sense because there were snakes out in the garage and possums and coyotes and whatever. And this cat, Jasmine, kicked all their asses. Lived to be 23, and pretty great. So she deserves her own chart, and this is it. We're going to feature Francisco Torres on trombone, Joey De Leon on percussion, Kevin Axt on the bass, and Ray Brinker on the drums. This is called Grahe Gato. Francisco Torres. Joey DeLeon. Kevin Axt. Ray Brinker. The next piece we're going to do for you is something we've had in the book now for probably 15 years, as I think about, if my math is correct. And the first night we did it, I realized, man, we're never going to stop doing this piece. Less to do with my arrangement or even how these great musicians played it, but more with the DNA, the compositional DNA of the piece itself. And because it was written by arguably America's greatest composer. And this piece has a way of connecting with people. We've played it all over the world, too. Don't have to be American to love this piece. It's incredible to watch how it affects people. And it's timeless, and it is such an important part of the fabric of our culture and our world. And for us, it's a great honor to play a small part in the legacy of this amazing piece of music. We hope that you enjoy our version of George Gershwin's Rhapsody in Blue. Charlie Morellis. Wayne Bergeron. And the clarinet, Brett McDonald. I told you there are other good guys on the clarinet. You can't spit on this stage without hitting about 5 amazing clarinet players and 1 legendary clarinet player. From the minute he emerged on the scene as a member of Thad Jones and Mel Lewis's jazz orchestra, and at that time started to carve out a new role for that evil black stick of death. and without any question, without any debate, he's inherited the mantle of defining in a contemporary sense, what that instrument can do in a jazz context. Taking the baton from Benny Goodman and Artie Shaw and Buddy DeFranco. And the Big Phat Band has had the honor of doing a number of live gigs with him, a number of recordings with him, and we are slack-jawed in amazement every single time. His sound, his florid technique, but more than that, his inventiveness, his musicality, and the spirit and life force that emanates from his music. Please welcome to the stage the legendary Eddie Daniels. And so, as part of our tribute to some of the legends in music that have inspired us, we're going to start off and feature Eddie on a song that pays tribute to Benny Goodman. One of his more popular songs was called Sing, Sing, Sing. Ours is called Sing, Sang, Sung. It's going to feature Eddie along with Mike Rocha on the trumpet. It starts off, as you might expect, with the tom-toms. Eddie Daniels. On the trumpet, Mike Rocha. So I don't know if you remember, Eddie, the first session we did together for the very first record the Big Phat Band recorded. We came out to where Eddie's home is, and in Santa Fe, and there's a studio. I don't know if it's still there anymore. Stepbridge Studios, and they had a little casita where we could stay while we were working there. And I had never met him before that day, and we recorded that song that we just played, and we recorded one other song as well. And I remember the other song was an arrangement I did of music by Johann Sebastian Bach. Now, I don't know about you. When I first heard Bach, I was just bored to tears. As like a high school kid or whatever, I didn't get it. And then I had a piano teacher that made me sit in that music and try to figure it out, you know. And the more that I did, I thought, oh, there's jazz all over this music, right? Yeah. I mean, you know, Eddie, you're a guy that's in the world of jazz and classical music. You know, I mean, what's your experience with this composer? How's it influenced you?
I still practice Bach almost every day on the clarinet. It's hard, it's beautiful, it's deep, it's phenomenal.
And something about it is, in every sense of the word, fundamental to the development of Western music. The vocabulary that he figured out, kind of the physics of how notes resolve, is something, you understand that, you're going to understand, you know, how music goes. So we're in the studio, and I said, okay, we have this arrangement of Bach two-part invention, and I'd like you to play a solo on it. And his solo, first of all, he played 2 solos. He loved it. So he goes, I want to do another one. It was so fun. I want to do another one. So we might have done 3 solos. So I went back home, and I had to pick between 3 complete masterpieces. Which kid do you want to save, Mr. Goodwin, you know? And I don't know if we threw a dartboard on the wall or what we did to pick the solo that's on the record, you know. But it was just such a joy to watch you sit in this music and elevate it to something else. So we're going to play that piece for you right now. Right. Yeah, this is a Bach two-part invention in D minor. That's some culture there for you. We're going to do an arrangement now that Eddie played. Maybe one of the first time it was ever played. It was written by Thad Jones. And Eddie wanted to play it tonight, and I thought, man, I always loved that song. I'm telling you, it exists in me all the time. And maybe tell us a little bit what it was like to play this song with the Thad Jones Mel Lewis Band.
Well, Thad came in and brought it in on a Monday night, and it was just, it's almost as artistic as, or is, Mozart. We think Mozart classical, but beauty is beauty. It doesn't matter if it's classical or jazz or funk or whatever. This has stuck with me for such a long time, and when I sat in the band, I didn't get a chance to play the solo. Thad played the solo. So I sat there and I was like wanting. Not very spiritual. I was wanting to play that solo, and Thad felt my vibe. What did Thad do to me? He made me play less. When he knew I wanted to play a solo, he didn't give me a solo. Maybe that's kind of my early bird training of being the youngest guy in the band. So I found the arrangement again. I did a gig up in Denmark with the Danish Radio Orchestra. And they said, hey, we've got this arrangement of Thad. And Thad, when he retired, went up to Denmark and led the Danish Radio Orchestra. So he brought this arrangement with him. And they said, Eddie, you got to play this. And I said, I've been wanting to play this. Oh, have I been wanting to play it? But it's subtle. It sounds like the piece before that, what you just heard is like, I want to do it. It's musical. It's fast. It's got energy. This is like calmness. This is going to make us all just breathe and just go, ah.
That's well put. Featuring the great Eddie Daniels, an amazing composition by Thad Jones called Quietude.
Let's do it again. Okay. I think that's good. That's a hard beginning because it starts so soft. Cameron. It's really soft.
Eddie Daniels. And let's hear it for Thad Jones. Oh my goodness. We have a new piece that we're going to play for you now. And Eddie and I talked about doing a little bit of the music of Duke Ellington. And we're trying to find a different way to approach it, and somehow landed on the concept of a clarinet quintet plus Eddie. So we're going to have the rest of the band sit this one out, and we're going to play a new arrangement that I did of Mood Indigo. Brian Scanlon, Brett McDonald, Eric Marienthal, Tom Lure, the bass clarinet, Adam Schroeder, and Eddie Daniels. This next arrangement is something that I've always loved it, and I finally got my hands on the score and got to look and see exactly how brilliant it really was, from the vantage point of my eyes as well as my ears. And when we decided to do a tribute to Dave Grusin here tonight, this chart, I mean, he's done so much that we all love, but this chart, for some reason, popped into my head. And it's from a record he did called Dave Grusin's West Side Story. And it's an arrangement of Something's Coming that he did. And we're going to play that for you now. But before we do, I wanted to pass the mic to Eric Marienthal for a brief minute. Because Dave Grusin, of course, Eddie, he was a big figure in your life. Yes. And your record Breakthrough that came out on his label, I mean, that was a seminal movement in your career, wasn't it?
Yeah, if it weren't for Dave, I'd be an accountant. He said, Eddie, we love your playing, do an album. And he gave the go-ahead. You know, you get lucky moments in your life. We have somebody who really supports you and loves your music. And Dave was one of them. He still is one of them. In fact, one of the latest albums that I did for George Claiborne, I asked Dave, it's called Night Kisses. It's the music of Yvonne Lenz. And I asked Dave, would you come and play on the album? So he flew from Santa Fe, where I live, and we both live there. And he came and he played on the album and stayed the whole week, listening, watching. I say, why are you hanging out here? He said, I'm just loving this music. So Dave he's a wonder. He really is.
Well, I wanted to ask Eric about his experience, because you've worked a good deal with Dave Grusin as well. Maybe you could tell the audience like what you got out of that experience.
Oh, right. Well, like Eddie, Dave Grusin was the G of GRP, and I got signed to my first record deal with GRP, and with the help of Dave, of course. And, I was playing in Chick Corea's band, and he was on GRP, so that didn't hurt at all. But I made 7 records for the label, and then played on a whole bunch more, as Eddie did. And as Eddie was, we were members of Dave's GRP All-Star Big Band. Right. And we were in the same band together. Yeah, I got another big band. And it was just amazing. Dave was... one of the genius musicians. You look over, like so many musicians, you look over in the band, and even if you're playing night after night on a tour, you look over and say, wow, that's Dave Grusin, And we actually were you on the, we did, for a number of gigs, but were you on the Grammy gig that we did at Radio City Music Hall? So we played the Grammys. I don't know if it was this record. It might have been the Gershwin record, I think, that it was nominated. We were live, and it was all on stage, and the memory I have, he was so cool about it. They went to commercial break, and we were supposed to get on stage and get set, and it was about 10 of us probably, right? And so we're sitting there, and nobody's coming to get us. And we're just sitting on the side of the stage, and one commercial goes by, and 2 commercials go by. And Dave's kind of real cool. He goes to one of the techs and says, excuse me, but shouldn't we be getting on the stage? Because we're going to be playing in about 30 seconds. And the tech looked around and said, oh, yeah, and so Dave, very cool, very collected, we're going to be playing in front of 3/4 of a billion people. He goes, hey, guys, I think we need to get on stage now. And so we all run on stage, and literally 10 seconds later, we're playing. So, but he kept us cool, and he really is, he personifies, cool, and he's just one of the genius musicians that so many of us, get to know and appreciate his music.
Well, not only that, but he's one of the most generous musicians I've ever met. And I have to sometimes tell him, stop. Quit paying me compliments because I can't process this because I idolize him so much. And when I called and asked, could we, any chance of getting our hands on the arrangement of Something's Coming, a day later, they showed up in FedEx. And not just the parts, but his score, his sketch, his handwritten sketch, and then the full score. I have this, history. And I feel nervous now that this theater might get hit by a meteor and we'll lose this great arrangement because he didn't. He goes, it's not really scanned. I don't have a digital copy of it. So it's a great honor for us to play this for you. Here's Dave Grusin's Something's Coming. Okay, so one of the requests that Eddie had of tonight was he'd play some tenor, but he wanted to play some tenor with some of us in the band. So we have a piece that's written for 4 tenor saxophones. And it's based on the chord changes to an old song called Limehouse Blues. And it's a lot of notes. And we're going to see if we can all get them in the right order for you. We got going to feature Brian Scanlon, Tom Lure, Eddie Daniels, and myself. The name of this song is, the guys teased me for this because we were having a rehearsal, and a couple of the tenor saxophone players were having a problem with the passage, and I just yelled out, "Hey, clean it up, tenors!" And I got a lot of grief for being so insensitive by that. So, but I did name this song "Clean It Up, Tenors." Brian Scavlin. Tom Bloor. Eddie Daniels. Eddie Daniels is going to take a quick pause, and he's going to be back in a few minutes. While we strike the stage, let me tell you a little bit about what you're about to hear. We decided a few years ago that maybe it was time to add a vocalist to our band. Thought of doing it myself. Thought about it until I realized that I couldn't sing worth a damn. So then we decided to bring in a professional. And I knew just the person because I had worked with this young woman in recording studios, mostly just on sessions for kind of pop music, mostly. But then I noticed one time she had to sing some jazz and she nailed it. Another time she had to sing some classical, kind of operatic, nailed that. So I go, well, this is a musician with some real versatility. So we had a gig where we needed a vocalist, so we called her, and then she came on. And it was a weird gig, too, because it was at Paramount Studios, and it was a goodbye party for one of the executives that was retiring. And so we were on stage, and then the audience was this audience of about 25 people, and they were about where the lobby is from us from here, that far away from us. So our vocalist had to try to reach them from here with her singing and with her personality and all that. And I couldn't believe that she did. And they kind of start coming over one by one, to check out what was going on up here. Just sang at the Hollywood Bowl last Sunday. And she's singing a song, and the host is Arsenio Hall. And he's back in his dressing room, and he hears the singing. And I see him come out, and he's going, what? He comes on stage, he's like, yeah. And he goes back and he grabs a tambourine from Joey. He goes, I got to play with tambourine with this thing. So the vocalist in question is an extraordinary musician, and that's kind of the key. A singer who's also a great musician. There's a distinction there. And she is, if you have seen the new Spider-Man movie, if you've seen Lightyear, or if you go to see the new Thor movie, which came out yesterday, she sung and contracted all the vocal sessions for all of those films. Pretty big time. And thank you. She did show some questionable judgment by agreeing to be my wife last July. But there's no accounting for taste. But in any event, I think you're going to really enjoy the fantastic singing of the lovely and talented Vanjie Gunn. There she is.
No. Hi, everybody. How you doing? Are you having fun? You guys, give it up for this band again. Come on, let me hear it. What an introduction. My goodness. My husband loves me. Yeah, let's sing. So when I started singing with Big Phat Band at that event, they wanted me to do another song. And we'd only rehearsed 2. So Gordon runs over to me and he goes, "What else do you know?" And I go, "Summertime?" So we got up on stage and kind of faked it. Do you guys remember that? Anybody? I don't know. They don't know. Okay. So it kind of grew, and Gordon made an arrangement for me that lives on the Gordian Knot. And it's a real honor and privilege to be able to have sung on one of the Big Phat Band albums. So here's our version of Summertime. Summertime, and the living is easy. Fish are jumping, and the cotton is high. Little baby. Thank you.
Let's hear it for Vaughan. And I wonder if you would do me the honor of helping thank these fantastic, amazing musicians in the Big Phat Band. On the saxophone, Brian Scanlon, Brett McDonald, Eric Marienthal, Tom Lure, Adam Schroeder. On the trombone, Charlie Morellis, Andy Martin, Francisco Torres, and the bass trombone, Ben Devitt. On the trumpet, Michael Rocha, Wayne Bergeron, Dan Fernero, and Dan Savant. On the guitar, Andy Waddell. On the bass, Kevin Axt. On the percussion, Joey De Leon. And on the drums, Ray Breaker. Thank you. If you will, please welcome Eddie Daniels back to the stage. Our last song is a song that I wrote for Eddie, and I really tried to bust him up on this thing. I did not, but you know what he did? I sent it to him, and I called him, "Hey, Eddie, did you get it?" So I sent him the music and a little demo, and I called him. He goes, "Oh, yeah, FedEx just showed up." And he opens it, I hear him open it up, and he pulls the music out and puts it on his music stand. He's got his clarinet. He goes, yeah. Oh, yeah. He's sight reading it. I'm on the phone. I go, I didn't get hard enough for you on this one, buddy. May not be possible.
Getting hotter as I play it more.
I know, that works that way sometimes. We recorded this on the Big Phat Band's third record, I believe. The record was called The Phat Pack. And this is one of the highlights of that record, featuring the amazing Eddie Daniels. This is called Under the Wire. And before we do this, all of us, Eddie, the whole band, would like to thank you so much for coming out to MetaJAX and sponsoring and supporting the great live music here at the IRVINE Barclay. Thank you so much. If you want to know more about Eddie Daniels, you got to go to eddydaniels.clarinet. eddydanielsclarinet.com. If you want to learn more about the Big Phat Band, go to bigphatband.com. All right, here we go. Thanks again for coming. This is called Under the Wire.
Eddie Daniels, Gordon Goodwin, the Big Phat Band.